Hello and welcome to Knowledge Journey. I'm your host, and today we're venturing deep into the labyrinth of human behavior. Have you ever wondered why people do the things they do? Why, despite our best efforts, do we often feel baffled by the actions of those around us? Well, you're not alone in this quest for understanding. Today, we're going to explore 10 surprising truths about people. Truths that might make you nod in agreement or pause in reflection. These aren't just observations. They're backed by psychological research and real-world examples that paint a vivid picture of human nature. So, whether you're trying to improve your relationships, navigate your workplace, or just understand the world a bit better, this episode is for you. Grab a comfortable seat as we peel back the layers of what makes us tick, often hidden just beneath the surface of our everyday interactions. Let's dive into these truths and discover not just what they are, but why they matter, and how embracing them can transform our interactions and understanding of the world around us. Part 1. People are inherently selfish. As we embark on this journey through the complexities of human nature, our first stop is a truth that might seem a bit disheartening at first. People are inherently selfish. Now, before you recoil at the thought, let's unpack what this really means. Selfishness isn't always about greed or malice. It's more about survival. From a psychological perspective, it's rooted in the basic evolutionary principle of self-preservation. This instinct helps us prioritize our needs and can even drive us to achieve great things. But here's where it gets interesting. While everyone has the capacity for selfishness, the way it manifests can vary greatly from person to person. Let's consider a simple example. Imagine you're at a dinner party. The last piece of your favorite cake is on the plate, and you've had your eye on it all evening. The moment comes when you decide whether to take it or leave it for someone else. That decision, seemingly trivial, involves a complex negotiation of selfish impulses and social rules. Research from the field of behavioral economics provides us with some fascinating insights here. A study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that even when people know that sharing would yield a better overall outcome, the initial impulse is often to secure one's own interests first. This doesn't mean that all hope is lost, though. The study also found that with a slight pause and consideration, people often choose a more cooperative approach. This dance between self-interest and cooperation is pivotal. It shapes not only our personal relationships, but also the fabric of our societies. Understanding this inherent selfishness allows us to better navigate our social environments. We can anticipate potential conflicts, foster better teamwork, and cultivate empathy by recognizing the natural instincts that drive us all. As we move to our next truth, keep this in mind. Recognizing our selfish nature isn't a condemnation. It's an invitation to understand and manage our impulses in ways that can lead to more harmonious living. Part 2. Everyone wears a mask. Continuing our exploration into the truths about people, let's delve into a reality that's as intriguing as it is universal. Everyone wears a mask. This isn't about deception in the sinister sense, but rather about the roles we play and the facades we maintain in various social settings. Think about the last time you were at a job interview, a family gathering, or even a casual meetup with friends. In each scenario, you likely adjusted your behavior, your tone, and perhaps even your opinions to suit the setting. This adaptability is a fundamental aspect of social interaction, but it also raises questions about authenticity and identity. To illustrate, consider the concept of impression management, a theory from the realm of social psychology. This theory suggests that we are all actors to some extent, performing roles crafted to fit the expectations of our audience. A classic study by Irving Goffman in his book, The Presentation of Self in Everyday Life, vividly describes how individuals present themselves in ways that will be perceived favorably by others. But why do we do this? The answer lies partly in our need for social acceptance and partly in our fear of rejection. Mask wearing, in this sense, can be seen as a protective measure, a way to shield our true selves from potential judgment or criticism. Let's take a real-world example. Imagine you're passionate about an unconventional hobby, say, collecting rare insects. In professional settings, you might downplay this interest to avoid being labeled as the bug person, fearing it might overshadow your other qualities or professional capabilities. This phenomenon of masking can have profound implications for our mental health and relationships. Constantly wearing a mask can lead to stress and even identity confusion. However, understanding this aspect of human behavior can also empower us to be more accepting of ourselves and others. It encourages us to foster environments where masks can be dropped and authenticity can flourish. As we transition to the next truth, reflect on the masks you wear and consider the roles they play in your life. Are they serving you, or are they holding you back? Part 3. Change is rare and hard. We've looked at the innate selfishness within us and the masks we wear in social situations. Now let's confront a truth that many find difficult to accept. Change is rare and hard. This isn't just about minor habits, but deep-seated behaviors and beliefs that define who we are. The difficulty of change is something that psychologists and researchers have studied extensively. It's rooted in the way our brains are wired. Neuroplasticity, or the brain's ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections, decreases as we age. This means that the older we get, the more effort and time it takes to make significant changes in our mindset or lifestyle. Let's consider an example that many will find relatable: adopting a healthier lifestyle. We all know the benefits of eating right and exercising regularly, yet a staggering number of us struggle to make these changes permanent. Studies suggest that approximately 50% of people who start an exercise regimen give it up within the first 6 months. Why? Because replacing old habits with new ones is a complex process that involves much more than just willpower. A study published in the European Journal of Social Psychology suggests it takes an average of 66 days to form a new habit. But this can vary significantly depending on the person, the behavior, and the circumstances. This persistence in old ways isn't a simple preference for familiarity. It's often a deep-rooted resistance to the discomfort of change. This resistance can manifest in various ways, from denial of facts to rationalizing old habits. An effective approach to overcoming this is through gradual, consistent efforts and understanding the psychological barriers that inhibit change. Techniques such as setting small, manageable goals and leveraging support systems can significantly enhance the success rate of such endeavors. As we move forward, remember that embracing this truth about change doesn't just help us adjust our own expectations. It also makes us more compassionate toward others struggling with their transformations. Change isn't just a personal journey, but a universal challenge, reflecting the broader dynamics of human behavior. Part 4. People are predictably irrational. Now, as we pivot to our fourth truth, let's take a moment to embrace a curious paradox about human behavior. People are predictably irrational. This idea, central to the field of behavioral economics, challenges the classical economic notion that humans always act rationally to maximize their advantages. To grasp this concept, imagine you're shopping for a new smartphone. Conventional wisdom suggests you'll compare specs, prices, and reviews to find the best deal. However, real-world choices aren't always so straightforward. The influence of brand loyalty, aesthetic appeal, or even the way options are presented can skew your decision in unexpected ways. This phenomenon was vividly outlined by Dan Ariely in his book, Predictably, Irrational. Ariely conducts experiments that reveal how our decisions can be influenced by factors we're scarcely aware of. For instance, one of his studies demonstrated the decoy effect, where adding a third, less attractive option can make one of the original two options seem more desirable than it actually is. Consider this scenario. You're offered two subscription plans for an online service. Plan A costs $10 a month, while Plan B offers additional features at $25 a month. Initially, you lean towards Plan A for its affordability, but then a third plan, Plan C, is introduced at $30 a month with only slightly more to offer than Plan B. Suddenly, Plan B appears more reasonable, even economical, compared to Plan C. Many customers will shift their choice to Plan B, influenced by its comparative value. This irrationality extends beyond shopping into more serious domains such as voting behavior, financial investments, and personal relationships. Recognizing this can help us make better decisions. By understanding the biases at play, we can attempt to counteract them. As we continue to explore the depths of human behavior, remember that our irrationality doesn't make us flawed. Rather, it makes us human. It reflects the complexity of our minds and the myriad influences that shape our thoughts and actions. Part 5. Most people follow the crowd. As we dive deeper into the fabric of human behavior, our next truth emerges. Most people follow the crowd. This tendency, known as social conformity, is a powerful force that can influence our choices, beliefs, and even our perceptions of reality. To understand social conformity, let's look at a classic psychological experiment by Solomon Asch in the 1950s. Participants were shown a line on a card and asked to match it with one of three lines on another card. Simple, right? However, when confederates of the experimenter, posing as fellow participants, unanimously chose the wrong line, many subjects conformed to this majority opinion, despite clear evidence to the contrary. Why does this happen? It's partly because social acceptance is a deeply ingrained human need. Aligning with the group helps us feel secure and accepted. But it's not just about feeling good. Our perceptions of what is true and right can actually be swayed by the opinions of those around us. Consider how this plays out in the digital age. Social media platforms amplify this effect by showing us popular posts and trends that everyone seems to be following. This can subtly guide our own tastes and opinions. For instance, if everyone in your feed is praising a new movie, you might be more inclined to watch it and even enjoy it, regardless of its objective qualities. This behavior has significant implications. In politics, it can lead to groupthink, where the desire for harmony in a group results in an irrational or dysfunctional decision-making outcome. In everyday life, it can prevent us from expressing true preferences or exploring novel ideas. However, awareness of this tendency can be empowering. By recognizing when we're being swayed by the crowd, we can make more deliberate, authentic choices. It invites us to question, to be critical, and to embrace the courage to stand apart when necessary. As we move toward the next truth, let's reflect on the moments when we followed the crowd and consider how we might forge our own path in the future. Part 6. Expectations are often unmet. Continuing our exploration of the truths about people, we arrive at a particularly poignant one. Expectations are often unmet. This truth touches every part of our lives, from personal relationships to professional endeavors, highlighting a fundamental aspect of human experience. Expectations shape our vision of the world and our place in it, guiding our decisions and our interactions. But when reality doesn't align with our expectations, the result is often disappointment, frustration, or even heartache. Consider a simple example from everyday life. You plan a perfect outdoor birthday party for weeks, but the weather forecast fails you, and it rains. Or think about a young athlete who dreams of making it to the Olympics, but doesn't qualify for the trials. These scenarios, big and small, teach us about the unpredictability of life and the challenges of aligning our hopes with reality. Research in psychology offers insights into why our expectations often go unmet. According to studies such as those by cognitive psychologist Daniel Kahneman, our brains tend to favor optimistic scenarios, leading to what's known as the optimism bias. This bias makes us believe that we are less likely to experience a negative event compared to others. This bias isn't just about feeling good, it's evolutionarily advantageous. Optimism can motivate us to pursue goals and take risks. However, when not managed carefully, it can also set us up for disappointment. For instance, in relationships, expecting a partner to read your mind and know exactly what you need without communication is a common pitfall that can lead to misunderstandings and dissatisfaction. Recognizing this truth can help us set more realistic expectations and communicate more openly with those around us. It can also encourage us to practice resilience and adaptability, valuable skills in navigating the ups and downs of life. As we prepare to delve into our next truth, let's consider how adjusting our expectations might not just reduce disappointment, but also open us up to new possibilities and joy in the unexpected. Part 7. Communication usually fails. As we delve into our seventh truth about people, we encounter a sobering reality. Communication usually fails. While it may sound pessimistic, understanding this can significantly improve how we interact and connect with others. The essence of this truth lies not in the act of communication itself, but in the numerous ways it can break down. Whether it's a misheard word, a misinterpreted tone, or a cultural misunderstanding, the potential for failure is everywhere. Consider a typical scenario in the workplace. A manager sends an email outlining tasks for the team, but the message is vague. The team members interpret the instructions differently, leading to confusion, incomplete tasks, and frustration on all sides. Such misunderstandings are not only common, but expected, given the complexities of language and human perception. Psychological studies, such as those on the illusion of transparency by Elizabeth Newton, demonstrate that we often overestimate how well we communicate our thoughts and feelings to others. People believe their personal intentions and emotions are more obvious to others than they truly are. This illusion can lead to significant gaps between what we intend to convey and what is actually understood. Effective communication is more than just exchanging information. It involves ensuring the message is received and understood as intended. This requires clarity, active listening, and sometimes confirmation that the message has been comprehensively understood. To illustrate further, let's look at nonverbal communication. Body language, facial expressions, and tone of voice can convey more meaning than the words themselves. A smile can bridge gaps where words fail, and a reassuring tone can soften a harsh message. As we move forward to our next truth, let's reflect on our own communication habits. Are we truly being as clear and thorough as we think? Are we providing the right cues and context to be understood correctly? Enhancing our communication skills can lead to more meaningful connections and less frustration in our daily interactions. Part 8. Everyone has a past. The background music deepens, adding layers of introspective and reflective tones, aligning with the theme of personal histories and their impact on our lives. Moving forward in our exploration of the truths about people, we come to a profound understanding. Everyone has a past. This simple yet weighty truth reminds us that the backgrounds and experiences of individuals shape who they are today, influencing their behaviors, beliefs, and reactions in ways that are often invisible to the casual observer. To appreciate this, consider how someone's upbringing, the challenges they've faced, and the triumphs they've enjoyed contribute to their current character. For instance, a person who grew up in a volatile environment might develop a heightened sense of alertness to conflict, or conversely, a strong resilience and a knack for peacemaking. The impact of past experiences is not just anecdotal, it's well documented in psychological research. Attachment theory, pioneered by John Bowlby and Mary Ainsworth, illustrates this by showing how early relationships with caregivers influence one's relationship patterns throughout life. Those nurtured in a secure environment typically develop healthy, trusting relationships, whereas those from less supportive backgrounds might struggle with intimacy and trust. Let's look at a specific example: a professional at the peak of their career who still grapples with imposter syndrome, the persistent belief that one's success is undeserved. This syndrome often roots back to early academic or family environments that emphasized perfectionism or undervalued the individual's achievements. Understanding that everyone has a past allows us to approach interactions with empathy and compassion. It encourages us to consider the hidden influences that shape behaviors, which can be particularly important in conflict resolution or in fostering supportive relationships. As we transition to our next truth, let's carry with us the lesson that being mindful of others' pasts not only helps in understanding their actions, but also enriches our interactions, allowing for deeper connections and more effective communication. Part 9. Judgment comes naturally. As we continue our journey through the fundamental truths about human nature, we arrive at an often uncomfortable reality. Judgment comes naturally. This instinct is not merely a social faux pas, but a deep-seated evolutionary trait that helps us navigate our social environment. From the moment we meet someone, our brains are hard at work, processing cues about their appearance, behavior, and speech to form quick assessments. These judgments can be about trustworthiness, competence, or even likability. While this process can be incredibly efficient, it's also fraught with biases and inaccuracies. To understand this better, consider how often first impressions are formed. Research indicates that it takes just 1/10 of a second to start determining traits like trustworthiness from a person's face. While this snap judgment can be helpful in some scenarios, such as assessing danger, it often leads to oversimplifications and stereotypes. One striking example is the halo effect, a cognitive bias where our overall impression of a person, often based on one positive trait, colors our judgment of their other traits. If someone is attractive, for instance, we're more likely to perceive them as successful or intelligent, regardless of their actual abilities or character. This natural tendency to judge can lead to significant social implications, including discrimination and social exclusion. By being aware of our propensity to make quick judgments, we can take steps to mitigate its effects, such as consciously adjusting our initial perceptions and seeking more information before forming conclusions. As we prepare to explore our final truth, let's reflect on how recognizing and managing our judgmental instincts can improve our interpersonal relationships and promote a more inclusive society. Part 10. People fear what they don't understand. As we arrive at the final truth in our exploration of human nature, we confront a pervasive and powerful force: fear of the unknown. This truth is fundamental to understanding much of human behavior, from individual anxieties to collective responses to new challenges. Fear of the unknown has been a survival mechanism throughout human history, helping our ancestors avoid real threats. However, in today's complex world, this instinct can lead to behaviors that are less about survival and more about resistance to change and new ideas. Consider the dynamics of cultural encounters. When individuals are faced with customs, languages, or beliefs that are different from their own, the initial reaction can often be fear or rejection. This is not just a personal response, but a societal one, influencing everything from immigration policies to workplace dynamics. Research in social psychology, including studies on the contact hypothesis, shows that interaction with diverse groups can reduce this fear. The hypothesis suggests that under the right conditions, interpersonal contact is one of the most effective ways to reduce prejudice between majority and minority group members. Let's take a practical example from recent events: the global response to technological advances such as artificial intelligence. While AI presents significant opportunities for innovation, it also sparks widespread fear about job displacement and ethical concerns, illustrating how fear of the unknown can impact societal and economic structures. As we conclude this series, understanding that people fear what they don't understand invites us to foster dialogue, education, and openness in our communities. By confronting and discussing our fears, we can begin to demystify the unknown and embrace the possibilities that change brings. Reflecting on all the truths we've explored, let's strive to approach our interactions with greater empathy, understanding, and a willingness to learn from each other. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the fascinating landscape of human behavior. Until next time, keep seeking knowledge and building bridges of understanding. Conclusion: embracing the complexity of human nature. As we wrap up our exploration of the 10 fundamental truths about people, it's clear that understanding human nature is both a challenge and an opportunity. Each truth we've discussed, from our inherent selfishness to our fear of the unknown, reveals layers of complexity that shape our interactions and our world. Embracing these truths doesn't mean resigning ourselves to cynicism or despair. Rather, it's about gaining the insight needed to navigate life more effectively. By acknowledging that people are predictably irrational, that we often wear masks, and that change is hard, we equip ourselves with the tools to foster better relationships, enhance our communication, and approach the world around us with a more nuanced perspective. Let's use what we've learned not just to reflect inwardly, but to reach outwardly. Encourage conversations that bridge gaps of misunderstanding, promote environments where authenticity is celebrated, and cultivate patience and empathy in our dealings with others. It is through these actions that we can turn our knowledge of human behavior into a force for positive change in our communities. Thank you for joining me on this journey at Knowledge Journey. Your curiosity and engagement are what make our exploration of these truths so enriching. I look forward to our next adventure together, where we will uncover more secrets of the human psyche and beyond. Remember, the journey of understanding is endless, and every step taken is a step toward a more compassionate and connected world. Please share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. How have these truths resonated with you? What challenges have you faced, and what insights have you gained? Your stories are vital as we continue to learn and grow together. Until next time, keep questioning, keep learning, and most importantly, keep journeying onward.